صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد فرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك صوت عذاب إن ربك لبالمرصاد فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يثيق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا خيرة الله وابن خيرته، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله، إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجانة، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرا، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصائبك، فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بمضالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونصب لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم. وأبرأ إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانا وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشيائكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بمضالاتكم ومضالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب وبالبراءة من أشيائهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي يكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبتني عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة. وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد، اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله، في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد العابدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وابدأ به أولا ثم العن الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم العن يزيد خامسا والعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانه وعمر بن سعد وشمره وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبتني قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I would like to begin tonight's program with the recitation of Salam. I would like to request Brother Hadi Kisulbash to please come forward and recite the Salam with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajib.
I recall every day, I remember, I recall your tragedy and torture. Every day I witness calamity, every day I witness your tragedy. When my Lord gave me my eyes, He drew on them your figure. So wherever I would gaze, your beauty I would picture. But then my eyes would see the last son of Ali, alone, no family, crying, who will help me? But then my eyes would see the last son of Ali, alone, no family, crying, who will help me? And I watch as by walls you are circled, and I watch as my beloved is killed. Every day it's with me a memory, every day I witness your tragedy. Within the realm of your love, I awoke and I wondered. Whenever I called your name, it was Zainab that answered. You call for my brother, expecting an answer. I ran between fire and he would not answer. You call for my brother, expecting an answer. I ran between fire and he would not answer. I cried out, running after his children. I cried out, wanting him to assist them. Every day I ask him to come to me. Every day I witness your tragedy. I was thirsty for your love. Your name on my heart was drawn. I asked you to quench this thirst. and was met by 2 hands tall. Abbas came towards me, towering above me. Don't tell me you're thirsty when Hussein is thirsty. Abbas came toward me, towering above me. Don't tell me you're thirsty when Hussein is thirsty. Oh, servant, if you're in love with Hussein, oh, servant, daily you'll remember him. Every day, Hussein's banner I carry. Every day, I witness your tragedy. Just like a moth to a flame, I was drawn to your beauty. You became my every thought. Loving you was a duty. But when I'd remember you, I would see shimmer, I'd see your head severed, raised high upon a spear. But when I'd remember you, I would see shimmer, I'd see your head severed, raised high upon a spear. And I weep whenever I recall you, and I weep whenever I think of you. Every day, Hussein, daily and nightly. Every day, I witness your tragedy. Salawat.
Ahsan. One more loud salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Jazakallah. I would now like to request Raza Ali Sahab to please come forward and recite Salam Marsiya with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah.
نعرے صلوات. ان کو مجرا شام میں نیزوں پہ جن کے سر گئے، ان کو مجرا شام میں نیزوں پہ جن کے سر گئے، زندہ جاوید ہیں، ظاہر میں گو وہ مر گئے، زندہ جاوید ہیں، ظاہر میں گو وہ مر گئے، بولی زینب بجھ گئے گو میرے دونوں چراغ، بولی زینب چراغ پر میرا دونوں جہاں میں نام روشن کر گئے ان کو مجرا. میں جو سلام پیش کر رہا ہوں، میں چاہوں گا کہ قلیل افراد ہیں مگر توجہ چاہتا ہوں. نعرہ صلوات.
اللہم صل علی محمد وآل محمد.
مقصد حیات کا ہو محبت حسین کی، مقصد حیات کا ہو محبت حسین کی، چاہت میں سب سے بڑھ کے ہو چاہت حسین کی، سجدوں میں سب سے بڑھ کے ہے سجدہ حسین کا، افضل عبادتوں میں عبادت حسین کی، افضل عبادتوں میں عبادت حسین کی، دین محمدی کو نئی آب و تاب دی، خون سے سجی ہوئی ہے یہ خدمت حسین کی، خون سے سجی ہوئی ہے یہ خدمت حسین کی، کردار چاہیے تو وہ لے اہل بیت سے، سیرت وہی ہے جو کہ ہے سیرت حسین کی، وہ موت جس پہ سارے شہیدوں کو ناز ہے بڑھ کے زندگی سے شہادت حسین کی، تھی کربلا میں دونوں ہی باہم جڑی ہوئی، یعنی خدا کی اور مشیت حسین کی، یعنی خدا کی اور مشیت حسین کی، انسانیت پہ جب بھی کڑا وقت آیا ہے، انسانیت پہ جب بھی کڑا وقت آیا ہے، انسان کو پڑی ہے ضرورت حسین کی، مقصد حیات کا ہو محبت حسین کی، ماشاء اللہ۔
صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل۔
سورہ فاتحہ۔ سلام میر انیس کا نعرہ صلوات۔
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل۔
زینب نے سنی جب یہ خبر شاہ امم سے، زینب نے سنی جب یہ خبر شاہ امم سے، مسلم کے پسر خوب لڑے فوج ستم، دل ہل گیا رنگ اڑ گیا افرات علم سے، آنسو رخ انور پہ بہہ دیدہ نم سے، آنسو رخ انور پہ بہہ دیدہ نم سے، کام آتا تھا جو شے کے خجل ہوتی تھی زینب، فرزندوں کا منہ تکتی تھی اور روتی تھی زینب، فرزندوں کا منہ تکتی اور روتی تھی زینب، کچھ منہ سے نہ کہتی تھی مگر تھا اسے یہ دھیان، شے پر میرے بیٹے ہوں اسی طرح سے قربان، آگے تو یہ حسرت تھی کہ ہو بیاہ کا ساما، اب کوئی تمنا نہیں گر ہے تو یہ ارماں، اب کوئی تمنا نہیں گر ہے تو یہ چرچا ہو کہ حق شے کا ادا کر گئے دونوں، کسی شان سے زینب کے پسر مر گئے دونوں، کس شان سے زینب کے پسر مر گئے دونوں۔ کچھ سوچ کے اتنے میں اٹھی بنت یزد اللہ، بیٹوں کو چلی لے کے حضور شہزیش جا، روتے ہوئے سب اہل حرم ہو گئے ہمراہ، عباس سے اس وقت یہ فرمانے لگے شاہ، عباس سے اس وقت یہ فرمانے لگے، جھک جھک کے جو سمجھاتی ہوئی آتی ہے زینب، لو بیٹوں کو رخصت کے لیے لاتی ہے زینب، لو بیٹوں کو رخصت کے لیے لاتی ہے زینب۔ زینب نے یہ کی عرض کہ یا سید ابرار، کل شام سے ان دونوں نے کھولے نہیں ہتھیار، فخر ان کا کہ تعریف کرے آپ کا سر، باپ ان کا نمک خوار ہے یہ بھی نمک، باپ ان کا نمک خوار ہے یہ بھی ہے نمک، بیٹوں میں انہیں آپ نے محسوب کیا، لونڈی نے تو دونوں کو غلامی میں دیا، لونڈی نے تو دونوں کو غلامی میں دیا ہے، کچھ عرض کیا چاہتے تھے سید ابرار، سر پاؤں پہ نوڑا کے یہ بولی وہ دل افگا، صدقے ہو بہن اب تو مناسب نہیں محروم نہ رکھیے کہ سخی کا ہے یہ دربار، محروم نہ رکھیے کہ سخی کا ہے یہ دربار، بہنوں کی مصیبت میں مدد کرتے ہیں بھائی، نادار کا ہدیہ نہیں رد کرتے ہیں بھائی، نادار کا ہدیہ نہیں رد کرتے ہیں بھائی، یہ سن کے بہت روئے شہ صابر و شاکر، فرمایا بہن خیر میں ہوں صبر کو حاضر، اچھا یہ کریں کوچ کے ہم بھی ہیں مسافر، زینب تیرے بچوں کا खुदा हाफिज़ व नासिर ज़ैनब तेरे बच्चों का खुदा हाफिज़ व नासिर मंजूर ये था होना जुदा साथ से तेरे दो और जवाहिर ये चले हाथ से तेरे ज़ैनब ने सुनी जब ये खबर शाह से ज़ैनब ने थैंक यू वेरी मच बहुत अच्छा
One more loud salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil. Barai Kushnudi Imam Zamana, one more loud salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Respected Sheikh, elders, brothers and sisters in faith, Assalamu alaikum. My condolences to the Imam of our time, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum. And all mu'mineen on this month of Muharram. We are honored to have Sheikh Amin Rastani speak at this Ashura here at CFK. Jazakallah Sheikh. The community looks forward to listening to and learning from your speeches, inshallah. Just a few reminders before I request the Sheikh to begin. Like previous years, the programs for this year's Ashura Majalis are scheduled to begin at 6:45 p.m. with the recitation of the Holy Quran and Ziyarat Ashura, followed by the speech by Sheikh Amin Rastani, and end with Salatul Maghribain and Tugoniyas. We will also be having two private majalis during this Ashura. The first being Urdu Majalis hosted by Brother Sultan Rizvi at 7:30 in the morning with Maulana Mudassir Shah Musavi. The second being a Farsi Majlis with Sheikh Amin Rastani immediately after Salatul Maghribain. A couple of reminders. Who is Hussein is having a blood drive this Wednesday, July 26th here at CFK. Please pre-register. Spots are limited. Mu'mineen are encouraged to take part. The link to register is present on our WhatsApp and email announcements. For the remaining of these 10 days of mourning, Amin has set up a small corner in the ladies' side to give hope and healing to orphan children for a better tomorrow. During the month of Muharram, a lot of children were left orphaned in the plains of Karbala. Stop by the table to help these children with the tools they need to heal, grow, and unlock their potential. Savior USA has stalls set up on the sisters and brothers side today, selling abayas, t-shirts, tabarukat, and more. All proceeds go towards charity. All attendees are encouraged to visit. Here at CFK, we aim to serve the community while being responsible with your donations, as it is your contribution that enables us to bring you great speakers and keep our doors open in this trying economy. We thank you for doing your part in helping us achieve this objective and pre-registering when you plan to visit in-person programs using the links present on our WhatsApp and email announcements. We also do not do any fundraising between programs. Sponsorship slots are available online and updated every week at cfkdfw.org. We request that you contribute as much as you can and become part of Azadari Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajam. Alhamdulillah, we are blessed with the tawfiq of attending Majalis Sayyid al-Shahada, and with the intention to accommodate all our attendees, we request all brothers and sisters to come forward and fill in empty pockets around us so that we accommodate as many mu'mineen as we can. without disturbing the Sheikh and our attendees mid-speech. We also request that attendees work with our parking volunteers and carpool if possible to get the most out of limited parking spots that are available here. A reminder for everyone's safety and security, please do not park on the fire lanes. We would like to remind our parents about our dedicated mother's room. This room has a live feed and has been set up so our kids can be accompanied by their mothers and get accustomed to sitting and listening to the program in a lighter, less restrictive setting. With this, we hope to bring ease to our program attendees and mothers for these coming nights. As always, event details are posted on our webpage and our WhatsApp group. A reminder, our website, cfkdfw.org, has sponsorship slots available for everyone to access. If you wish to help behind the scenes or have any questions, please speak to myself, Brother Bilal Master, or any of the existing volunteers. I would like to request everyone to recite Ayah Karima 5 times for all that are ill or going through trying times, especially for Brother M.M. Badsha Shirazi, Sister Mansoura Mitani, Brother Ahmed Ali Raza, and anyone else who is going through tough times. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Lastly, before I request the Sheikh to begin his speech, I would like to request that we recite a Surah Fatiha for the marhumin of tonight's program sponsors. Let us please include all our marhumin and the marhumin of the Ummah as well. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would now like to request the Sheikh to please come to the minbar with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين. Another one of the inspirations that we take from Ashura clearly is the fact that there's going to be bala and hardship in life, and how do we deal with that bala and hardship? Now sometimes it's not going to be easy, of course. We have the wrong perspective, it gets very hard. But sometimes if having the right perspective and looking at things in a realistic way and understanding what is to be expected to an extent helps us cope with things a little easier and a little more efficiently. And when I say efficiently, what I mean by that is to, at least through our reaction towards these hardships, to turn those hardships into something that benefits us and makes our akhirah easy at least. You see, sometimes you make your dunya is hard anyway, but through the way you deal with things, you make your akhirah hard too. Sometimes no, this dunya is hard because guess what? It's going to be hard anyway. But through the way you react to things, the way you deal with things, because you have the right perspective, what happens is at least you make your akhirah easy for yourself. And guess what? This is, brothers and sisters, the reason why, it seems, one can say, we're here to begin with. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of that verse that we've recited before, that says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, I created you to become my servants and to be my abds. If Allah created us for ubudiyah, it seems that the only way this was going to be possible for us to exhibit our being an abd towards Him was to come to this life, this world that we're in. And guess what? This world equals clash, limitation, hunger, thirst. How else can Allah see how we're going to satisfy our needs? Are we going to do it in accordance with what He tells us or how He tells us? Or are we not going to do it in accordance with what He tells us and how He tells us? If we were to come to a world that there is no hunger in it, then how is He going to see if we are going to strive to make a halal living instead of a haram one? So there should be hunger then. How is it that He's going to see what I'm going to do when, or am I going to have patience? Am I going to reach a point where I am one of the sabirin? Well, if it's all ease and no hardship, then there's no opportunity for us to develop sabr and become one of the sabirin and the patient ones. You get what I'm saying? And so you'll have verses of the Quran and hadiths that point out this reality that, look, people, get it, let's get this right. Let's get it right. This dunya is going to be hard. Dunya equals hardships and limitations. Now, I do want to say this. Dunya doesn't mean torment and chastisement 24/7. Let's understand that as well. When we say life is hardship, life is restriction, life is limitation, this is what this dunya is all about, this material realm of existence that we're living in. What is meant is that, look, there's going to be clash, as I said, there's going to be some limitations, there's going to be some hardship, even if hardship means I have to get up early in the morning to go to work, right? Even that's a form of hardship. So when we say this world is full of hardship, it doesn't mean necessarily that every day I'm losing a limb, because I will run out after 10 days. I won't even exist anymore if I'm going to lose a limb every day because this dunya equals hardship. Dunya equals hardship doesn't mean you lose a limb every day. Dunya equals hardship means that even for the most basic needs that we have to make some form of struggle and effort to satisfy those needs. The Quran says that لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Kabad. Not kabid. In Farsi, probably Urdu to kabid means liver. This verse isn't saying we created you in liver. Kabad. Kabad means hardship. Okay? لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Do we need any other verses? Is one verse enough? We have a lot of verses that will let us know that this world is all about hardship. But this one, straight up, is acknowledging that, look, we understand, we know that you are in hardship, O mankind. Those angels from above, they're looking down on us, they feel sorry for us. That we have to work for what we want to eat. We have to we have to rest, we have to breathe, our heart has to always pump, etc., etc. We get sick. They feel sorry for us. That's what life is. But because we're in this situation, if we're able to use these tools that Allah has put here in this gym for us, and the equipment that we have in this gym of life, that's when we get strong enough to then fly higher than the angels. And everyone has that opportunity. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Or, for example, الْجَنَّةُ مَحْفُوفَةٌ بِالْمَكَارِهِ وَالصَّابْرِ. The hadith says that Jannah, that ultimate destination that we're trying to get to, this is surrounded by and covered with makarih. Makarih is the plural of makruh. What does makruh mean in Arabic? Something that's not desirable. Something that you don't like. It says Jannah is covered in or wrapped in hardships and sabr. The only way you can get to the candy is through the wrapper, right? You have to go through the wrapper to get to the candy. This life is the wrapper of akhirah. The wrapper of this dunya is one of hardship and one of sabr. فَمَنْ صَبَرَ عَلَى الْمَكَارِهِ فِي الدُّنْيَا دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ. Whoever has patience when it comes to these things will enter Jannah. وَجَهَنَّمْ مَحْفُوفَةٌ بِاللَّذَّاتِ. But Jahannam is surrounded with all the pleasures. وَالشَّهَوَاتِ فَمَنْ أَعْطَى نَفْسَهُ لَذَّاتَهَا وَشَهْوَتَهَا لَذَّتَهَا وَشَهْوَتَهَا دَخَلَ النَّارِ. So if a person gives themselves whatever they want just because it's pleasurable here, even if it's haram, they give that to themselves because of the dunya, then they can be sure that they will enter the hellfire, because the hellfire, the wrapper that's around the hellfire, the wrapper there is a wrapper of just pleasures and desires, and no matter what, I don't care what's going to happen, I don't care what the outcome is, I don't care the implications, I want the now. Well, guess what? This is a one-way ticket to Jahannam. Of course, I've said this a million times, I'll say it again. Taking pleasure in life and having things, etc., in and of itself is not problematic. These hadiths are not saying such a thing. These hadiths are saying a person who will give in to any desire and pleasure, whether it's haram, whether it's halal, whether Allah's satisfaction is in it or Allah's wrath is in it, these are the ones who are going to be in trouble. But at the end of the day, al-jannatu mahfufatun bil makarihi was sabra. It says here that in a hadith that Imam Ali salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi, he heard someone speaking to somebody. It says that he was doing dua for his friend. What was his dua? قَالَ لَا أَرَاكَ اللَّهُ مَكْرُوهًا. May Allah do something so that you never see anything bad in life. MashaAllah. Alright. Imam Ali heard this dua. Is it a bad dua for you to do this dua for your friend? I pray that you never experience any hardship in life. Okay? The Imam says, إِنَّمَا دَعَوْتَ لَهُ بِالْمَوْتِ. He said, guess what? You just prayed for your friend to die. In other words, if you're in the dunya in and of itself equals a hardship. What do you mean, no hardship? It's going to come. If you are praying that there is no hardship, this life is not about that. That's the next life. So bro, you just did dua indirectly for your friend to die. Of course, this person's intention wasn't that, but the Imam is making a point here. And he says, لِأَنَّ مَنْ عَاشَ فِي الدُّنْيَا لَا بُدَّ أَن يَرَى الْمَكْرُوهِ. A person who lives here has to understand that makruh will come their way. Yeah. So these are hadiths that are slowly giving us perspective to, hey person, hey people, let us at least, because sometimes we know this in the back of our mind, we have it, but practically we don't believe in this, that life here equals hardship. We have to understand that. Now, there are different tiers and levels of hardship, okay? But if the everyday hardships, we acknowledge them, number one, and number two, we react to them in the way we're supposed to, then inshallah we'll be ready for those harder weights that Allah puts in front of us and wants us to lift. But if we don't, then we're not going to be ready for those bigger ones. And so the Imam here, he says, you just prayed for this person to die because akhirah is all about that, not dunya. And so this saying we have in Farsi too, they say is not a very good one or a very accurate one to tell people. In Iranian culture, when someone passes away, what we tell the person who has survived the deceased, we tell them, "Qame akharat bashe," that inshallah this is your last gham and your last makruh. Well, the only way you can guarantee that is that if that person dies after that themselves, because that's the only way you can be sure they're not going to have gham anymore. This life is going to be full of gham, of losing things. As a matter of fact, every breath we take, every inhale and exhale, is us losing something, and that is our time and our precious lives slowly going away. Imam Ali Nahj al-Balagha. Now, so far, what do we have? Life equals hardship, but some of those bigger hardships now, not your everyday hardship, but the bigger ones that don't happen often, but when they do, they are a challenge. These ones, the Imams, our literature emphasizes that, look, there is an expiration date for them. Don't think it's going to be like this forever. Okay? And once again, Ashura teaches us this. These individuals on Ashura, they understood that this is what life is all about. And that, look, this day will end. Imam Hussein knows this day will end. Bibi Zainab knows that the captivity that we will be in one day will end. Yes? And we will go to our Lord. Yeah, and that's what makes this life, although it's all hard, it makes it worth the while because we know it's going to end. As a matter of fact, I mean, I've said this hadith before, you've heard it probably, that when Prophet Nuh, it was time to go, and the angel of death comes to him and says, it's time to go. Prophet Nuh says, what? Really? That was pretty quick. But Nuh, 950 years, man. And the Quran says he called his people for 950 years, so he must have lived for more than that. Okay? So, Nuh, he says, that's pretty quick. What happened? It's over that soon. The angel of death tells him, look, what do you think about these people in the end of times? They live for like 100 years. What do you say about them? He's like, that's nothing. If I was going to live that short, I would just end my life in one sajda. That's how short 100 years is. Here we are sticking to 100 years, thinking that, and then the 100 years that we have, all of it isn't the same quality, by the way. Yeah? The best parts of it is 20 till 40-ish. That means I just exited the good part of life myself. Okay? So now from here on, I'm in that other boat that's sinking faster than you younger ones. All right? So here it says that Imam Ali in Nahj al-Balagha, saying 351, he says, قال عند تناهي الشدة تكون الفرجة وعند تضايق حلق البلاء يكون الرخاء. Look, there is an expiration date for hardships. For sure, death will be one of those expiration dates. Okay, that it will expire, the hardship will expire. But lots of times it's before that. Let's keep that in mind. Inna ma'al usri yusra. One of the interpretations of this verse is that, look, when there is a hardship, there shall be an ease. You know, this is something I tell people sometimes, and it actually works to my own surprise, by the way. Right? I didn't have too much confidence in this line that I used to tell people back in the day before I even had moved to America, or moved back to America. I don't belong here. So when people would come to me, relatives, friends back home, they would say that we're suffering with this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem. And we would talk about things, and you would see that, okay, this is a hardship they're in right now, but you know it's going to end sometime. My line to them was this. I was like, look, one day you'll look back and you'll say, wow, really, it's over? Even looking at all of the brothers and sisters here, some of you, when I look at your faces, yeah, I might have even said this line to some of us. That, wow, it actually passed. It came to pass. And that is exactly what the perspective is supposed to be. That it will come to pass. Now, Ali says, alayhi salam, he says, once this shiddah, the hardship reaches that climax, if I'm understanding the hadith correctly, that is when the faraj of Allah will come. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, that was it. Once it's over, and you're like, wow, it's as if it never happened. This is how life is, brothers. This is life for us. Now, we don't expect ourselves to have this ma'rifah from day one. But look, when I'm 20, and then I'm 30, and then I'm 40, and I keep putting these experiences behind me, when I reach like 40, 50, I can't be the same that I was when I was 15. Right? This is what's important. Younger guys, you got some time. All right? Us older ones now, we have to be a little more careful about this. So younger guys, it's good that you're hearing this, because the first step to reaching a point where I will get it right in the future is that right now I hear these things. So thank you for coming. Whichever majalis you go to, good for you. And of course, the one to thank is Imam Hussein alayhi salam for inshallah handpicking each and every one of us to come to his majlis. And these are the ma'arif and teachings we study in these majalis. If I want to be like this in the age of 40 and 50, right now is the time to hear it when I'm 15, when I'm 10 even. Hear these things again and again. The Imam says, look, when it reaches that point, that tipping point, eventually that faraj, lots of times will come. Now, it's a natural world we live in, brothers and sisters. So sometimes that tipping point even might be death. With Imam Hussein, it was death. Who are we kidding? But all in all, 100 years isn't too much compared to infinity. When things get tighter and tighter and tighter and too tight, that's when they all of a sudden they open up again. Yeah, this is the hadith of our Imam. Inna ma'al usri yusra, all of these things. We have a saying in Farsi also, it says, Payan shab siyah sepidast, that the end of the dark night is brightness and day. All right. The Battle of Khandaq. I want to share some verses of the Quran with you. All to show that, look, the expectation of a Muslim, the expectation that the Quran has of us Muslims, is that we have this perspective of life is all about these things. 1, 2, things will eventually expire. And 3, Allah is watching and He's not leaving us to ourselves completely. No, if it's happening under His watch. So in the Battle of Khandaq, that one was a tough one because everyone got together, you know? Everyone gets together. All the ones with all the different opinions that they have, different approaches they have, different interests that they have, all of these enemies of Islam, in all of the differences that they have, they get together and they're like, look, this is it. This is the last chance we have. Let's all come together and attack the Muslims. This is the Battle of Khandaq. And you all know the story. Salman al-Farsi or Salman al-Muhammadi, he says, that this is how we do it. We stay in the city, we dig a ditch around the city, and we fill it with fire so that, you know, at least when we're outnumbered, they can't attack us all at once. And so the Prophet likes that idea and they carry it out. But think about it. I'll just say this on the side. Think about digging a ditch. Forget about the heat of Medina. Let's just talk about the heat of Dallas. All right? It's pretty crazy. You know, sometimes when I think about this, we're not talking about like some little ditch, some little channel around like a room or something. We're talking about the city of Medina, man. And a ditch that horses aren't supposed to be able to jump over very easily. Are you kidding me? How much sooner than the Battle of Ahzab did these people start digging this ditch? They say that it was so hard, the Prophet was helping as well. These people were probably passing out. That some accounts that they say that the hunger was so much that they would maybe tie like stones to their bellies, so their bellies, you know, when you're hungry, you push on your stomach, you know. This one apparently has experienced it. You're nodding pretty hard, brother. Who are his parents? Do you feed him properly? So you press. It says that they would press somehow so that they don't feel the hunger that much. Okay. So these people, the Quran says, "Am hasibtum an tadkhulul jannah." So like you and I, the hardships that we have, I know they are hardships. Once again, I don't want to downplay anything. And I'm talking to myself first and foremost. By the way, this whole lecture is for me. It's for none of you guys. It's for me personally. This one tonight. That we think that the hardships we have are like hardship. They're just, hardship, meh. That's what they are compared to what these people went through. But the Quran speaks to them. And we're running out of room. So if we can recite a salawat, sisters, and move forward, I'd appreciate it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the Quran, look at the tone it has when it speaks to these people who are really like the sacrifices they're making are next level. It says, "Am hasibtum an tadkhulul jannah." Do you think that you shall enter paradise, though there has not yet come to you the like of what befell those before you? In other words, the ones before you went through some hardships. You think you're going to enter Jannah without hardship? No, there's going to be hardship. Stress and distress befell them, and they were well, that's a hard word. Shaken, I'll just say, zulzilu. Shaken until the apostle and the faithful who were with him said, "When will Allah's help come?" They think about it. It reaches a breaking point eventually that the Prophet and his people, previous prophets, the Quran is telling our Prophet the story of previous prophets, that the Prophet of a people and his followers will reach a point where they say, okay, mata nasrullah. I mean, eventually we were promised deliverance. Where is it? And then the Quran says, Ala inna nasrallahi qareeb. Well, guess what? The aid and help of Allah is close. It is near. Don't worry. But look, the verse is saying that the Prophet even of the people is shaken to the point where he's like, where is this help? It's supposed to come by now. So, guys, And I'm speaking to myself once again. I don't like to sound like I've figured it out. I have not figured it out either. But it just seems like sometimes Allah lets things reach a breaking point, and we do break before He helps us. As a matter of fact, to be able to tell when the help is coming is to see when I broke. Apparently, sometimes, and we talked about this before, the point of it was the breaking point. The point of it was the breaking point. And to acknowledge that the only one that can help me is actually Him. Or this next one, Surah Yusuf 110. حتى إذا استيأس الرسل وظنوا أنهم قد كذبوا جاءهم نصرنا. That a time comes for the prophets that they become hopeless. Now, at first glance, it seems like they become hopeless in Allah. But when you look at the tafsirs, they explain that no, that's not what is meant. They lost hope in their people being guided. وَظَنُّوا أَنَّهُمْ قَدْ كُذِبُوا. And some of these people around these prophets, they're like, maybe this prophet that we're following was lied to. We're waiting for this punishment of God to come down, but it doesn't seem like it's coming. Once again, they reach a breaking point and losing hope in everything as if, and then all of a sudden, فَنُجِّيَ مَن نَشَاءُ. That's when the ones that we wanted were saved. وَلَا يُرَدُّ بَأْسُنَا عَنِ الْقَوْمِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. No one can repel our punishment from those criminal people out there who are the wrongdoers. All right, so we have verses like these that are letting us know, just so we have the right perspective in life at least, that this life is a life of hardship, number one. So don't think that you can ever accomplish a life of ease only, number one. Of course, we do dua to keep hardship away from us and all of that. And we try our best to mold our fates in the best of ways so that we are at the most of our convenience. And God wants that from us, but He also lets us know that, look, this is what happens. But guess what? There is an expiration date, inshallah, for all of this. The story of Musa and the people that were following him. They reach a point where Fir'aun is behind them, and they have a sea in front of them. They're like, okay, we're done. All of a sudden, the sea splits open when Musa puts his staff. Lady Maryam, she got in trouble. They're like, oh, how? Wait a minute. You're single. How do you have a baby? All of a sudden, Allah says, don't worry, we got this. Baby Isa, talk. I don't remember where this was and when this was and how this was, but I remember this much, that I was having a little talk with a Christian. Maybe it was Uber. I think it was Uber. Anyway, that is the only place I see Christians. Like I don't really have that much interaction anywhere else with people other than you guys. So, and that's a blessing for me. So anyway, we were having a little discussion, and then I was explaining to the person about Jesus, and I started listing things. First of all, I was impressed that my memory was working so well at that moment, because I was remembering a lot of things the Quran says about Jesus, number one. And number two, I was also impressed because I felt like there are some things about Jesus that we say that they might not even say. I'm not sure. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like in their accounts they have anything that talks about Jesus speaking to the people in the cradle as a baby. I'm not sure if we have anything like that. Inshallah, let me know if there is anything like that. I don't remember anything like that. But it's so cool. Allah says, Maryam, you're in trouble. Don't worry. Since this is from us, and we put you in this situation, and you have a heavy responsibility, be patient. When the time comes, we'll take care of you. Go amongst your people. But they're gonna start pointing their fingers at me. They're gonna start saying bad things about me. Yeah, but we got this. And so this baby begins speaking in the cradle. Not some weird language that we don't understand. No. قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت, and so on and go. Sometimes the Quran quotes things that you wouldn't expect that person saying it. Like it says, the hudhud, the hoopoe, that's the word for it, that bird in Prophet Sulaiman's time flew back and he started speaking to Sulaiman. All of a sudden, it's like Ayatul Bahjat is speaking. The things that this hoopoe is telling Sulaiman is things that Ayatul Bahjat is going to tell one of his students. Okay? So you have these things. One of those cases here, a baby starts talking. Not baby says, Mommy, I'm hungry, this and that. If you don't feed me, I'm going to push my stomach. Yeah? Nothing like that. What? He says, Inni Abdullah, I am the servant of Allah. Atani al-kitab, He has given me the book. وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا, He's made me a prophet, and so on and so forth. All of a sudden, when you lost all hope, yeah, Allah helps out. Now, once again, disclaimer, I've said this once, I'll say it again. It doesn't mean always any hardship that we go through that a miracle is supposed to happen now. All right? I'm being chased by a dog, and I'm going to be like, oh Allah, like what happened? Where's the miracle? Where's the lightning that's supposed to strike the dog now? While it's like grabbing at me now. Where's that someone? Where's Imam Mahdi? He's supposed to do zuhur and help me here. No, it's not how it works all the time. The hardships that we go through, there's no guarantee that Allah's going to miraculously get us out of that situation all the time. But in certain situations, it's saying that we do intervene. So one, we understand that life is all about hardship. Two, there is an expiration date, at least in death. Number three, Allah sometimes will intervene, especially if it's coming from Him directly, like in these cases. He says, I'm seeing what's going on. Prophet Yusuf, he was about to get in big trouble. Zulaykha is chasing him, come back, you so good looking, he's running for the door, she grabs him, and his shirt is torn. All of a sudden, the king comes in, or the Malik comes in. What's going on here? She says, oh, he went for me. He says, no, that's not true. Well, guess what? When all odds were against Prophet Yusuf, the Quran says that someone testified. Now, there are different opinions on who that was who testified, but somebody testified that in kana qamisuhu qudda bin duburin, that if his shirt has been torn from the back, that means he was running away and she grabbed him. And guess what? That's what it was. Now, what happened? This is also important. What happened eventually with Yusuf? Did he go to prison or not? He still went to prison, but at least his name was cleared in the eyes of these people. They put him in prison anyway, although they knew he doesn't deserve to go to prison. But in the end, some of these things, Allah says, I'll take care of this much of it, I'll take care of the rest later. All right. I want to share with you two perspective hadiths now. These are important, okay? I was just building up for this. The way we should look at these things. Because sometimes Allah is not going to miraculously come and help us. Okay? Sometimes He will, sometimes He won't. But there's a reason for all of that. And the reason for it is the akhirah. The famous companion of Rasulullah who passed away before Rasulullah, Uthman bin Mad'un, someone that we love as one of the companions of Rasulullah. It says that he had a son that he lost, and he was so moved by that, so upset about it. اشتد حزنه عليه. To the point where he isolated himself at home, Uthman bin Mad'un. Isolated himself at home, and just all he's doing now is worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, maybe to calm himself down, maybe whatever the reason was. Now, apparently his family, is upset about this. Like, we lost our son, okay, but like you have a life to take care of, you have a wife to take care of, and children to take care of. So this reaches Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says to Uthman bin Mad'un, he says, Inna Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala lam yaktub alayna ar-rahbaniyya. We don't have this kind of being like a monk and going and isolating ourselves and all that. This is not on us. If you want this kind of stuff, we have other things like this. Not this type of practice. We don't have that. Okay. يا عثمان بن مظعون للجنة ثمانية أبواب وللنار سبعة أبواب. Just letting you know that Jannah has 8 doors and Jahannam has 7 doors. Just letting you know. أفما يسرك ألا تأتي بابا منها إلا وجدت ابنك إلى جنبك. Does it not make you happy to know that any of these 8 doors of Jannah that you approach, you find your son there next to you to take you into Jannah? In the end, the main miracle, brothers and sisters, is how these hardships affect the akhirah. That I think we should keep in mind the most and have this perspective. Aslan, we're here for that. Now, I'm not going to do dua for big bala, but this life is full of big balas. We all know eventually time is going to come. Probably my parents are going to pass away if they haven't already. I might lose a sibling. I might lose somebody that I love. I might lose something that I love. We know that it's around the corner. There's no guarantee it's not going to happen. Let me have the right perspective at least so when it does happen. What is the right perspective? The right perspective is the akhirah. إِلَّا وَجَدْتَ ابْنَكَ إِلَى جَنْبِكَ آخِذًا بِحُجْزَتِكَ, taking you, يَشْفَعُ لَكَ, interceding for you, doing shafa'ah for you, taking you to your Lord. Those who have lost a small child, we have some very nice hadiths about, like, they're good to go, inshallah. Of course, when they're patient. Allah give us that patience, inshallah. قَالَ بَلَى, of course, Rasulullah, that makes me happy. فَقَالَ الْمُسْلِمُونَ, now there's people who are hearing this, they're like, oh Rasulullah, we've lost loved ones before. Is this something that from now on is there? Or even those in the past who've lost a loved one but were patient. The Rasulullah says, no, don't worry. All of you, if you're patient, yes, لِمَنْ صَبَرَ مِنْكُمْ وَاحْتَسَبَ. This is a term that's used in Arabic. And you'll find it in our literature. Sabran wahtisaba. When a bala comes our way, we say sabran wahtisaba. That I'm going to show sabr and I'm going to do ihtisab. I'm going to word it like this, okay? That, hey, I'm going to put this on Allah's tab. Ihtisab comes from hisab. Who's going to cover the bill here? Yeah? Because this bala is a huge bala. I'm being patient in the face of it. So because of that patience, then probably there's a big reward. The answer is yes, there's a big reward. Whose tab is this great reward going to be on? It's going to be on Allah's tab. Sabran wahtisaba. Here the Prophet says, Liman sabara minkum wahtasab. For those of you in the past even that lost a loved one, but you had patience and you did ihtisab, meaning what? You're like, God's going to take care of this some way, someday. Yeah? This is also for them. Another story. Mu'adh bin Jabal, another famous companion of Rasulullah. It says, he also lost a son that he had. فَاشْتَدَّ وَجْدُهُ عَلَيْهِ. And so he lost his cool, he lost his sabr kind of in regards to this. And so the Rasulullah wrote him a letter. He wrote a letter to him. What an honor though. That Rasulullah sends you a letter to remind you to be patient. Yeah? Salam alaikum fa inni ahmadullah. I praise Allah and all of this. And let me just tell you one thing. Amma ba'd. A'zamallahu lakal ajr. So according to this, the first person to use this line was Rasulullah. When we on Ashura, when we reach each other and we say A'zamallahu ujurakum or A'zamallahu lakumul ajr, may Allah give you an abundant ajr. Because of what? Because of the patience in the face of hardship. So the Prophet writes here, may Allah reward you abundantly for your patience. وَأَلْهَمَكَ الصَّبْرَ, and inspires you with patience. And gives us and grants us shukr. So these are the things that are expected. In other words, hardship is going to happen, but this is the point of it. These are supposed to come out of it. So if this doesn't come out of it, then we have to be upset. Really upset. He says, Inna anfusa, this is another perspective. He says, look, O Mu'adh, ourselves, our families, anyone else that's related to us, our children, these are all trusts that Allah has bestowed upon us, that He has entrusted us with, that we take pleasure in, that we use and benefit from, whatever it is, liwaqtin ma'dud, for a period of time. But then, and Allah says that you have to thank me for it while it's there. And when you lose it, to be patient. And guess what? Your son was one of those trusts. Allah gave you this blessing, okay? This is what He expects. That you are thankful as long as you have it, but now that you've lost it, to have shukr. Why are you, in other words, don't lose. فَاشْتَدَّ وَجْدُهُ, the hadith says. And actually the first hadith that I mentioned also had the same verb, ishtadda. Ishtadda means it's too much now. It seems that a person will reach a point like this if from beforehand they're not acquainted with this idea and perspective of this is how it's supposed to be though. And this is how the akhirah is built. So it says that you were having a good time with your son, all that, but now وَقَبَضَهُ مِنْكَ, He took that trust back. But what do you get in return? بِأَجْرٍ كَثِيرٍ, by an abundant ajr and reward. وَالصَّلَاةِ, Allah is sending His salawat upon you. And if we get to another verse, there's another verse that echoes the same idea. We send salawat on Rasulullah. We're very proud of that. It says Allah is sending salawat on you. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala alihi. And rahmah, and huda, and hidayah. In sabarta wa ihtasabta. If you have this sabr and you put it on God's tab. And this is the important part now. فَلَا تَجْمَعَنَّ عَلَيْكَ مُصِيبَتَيْن. Now that this musibah and tragedy has befallen you, don't multiply it into two. Don't double it now. Obviously, we know what the Prophet means here. That, okay, you lost your son, that's one musibah. But another musibah, the Prophet names it, is what? Is to allow this to take away all my hope, all my gratitude, all my patience, and etc. وَتَنْدُمْ عَلَى مَا فَاتَكَ. Because then, he says, you will regret what you have lost of the greatest rewards that you could have gotten out of this. Guys, it's going to happen anyway. Something is probably going to happen. We will try our best to mold our fates. God has that expectation of us, for us to try to mold our fates ourselves. But in the end, there is another element in our fates as well. When things don't go the way we were planning, this is the expectation. This is the perspective we're supposed to have. To the point that some of these greats, look at this is how they see it. Ayatollah Gulpaigani, the great Ayatollah Gulpaigani, Muhammad Rida Gulpaigani, which is one of the awesomest, who passed away maybe, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, something like that. He was one of the grand Maraja. It says that before the revolution, there was an earthquake that happened in Iran somewhere. And so he sends his son to go help out Sayyid Mahdi. Sayyid Mahdi gets into an accident on the way there and dies. And apparently Gulpaigani loved his son very much. And so now they're holding Isal Sawabs and these majalis for him, and they're commemorating, they're coming and expressing their condolences, scholars and all of that. It says that one of these scholars came to him and said, I pray that Allah takes this love that you have for your son so much that you lost, He takes it out of your heart so you don't suffer so much. You know what his answer is? He says, no. Pray that Allah adds to the love I have for my son, so that the musibah is greater and my patience yields more rewards. What? Where do you learn these things from? Well, they learn it from Abu al-Fadl Abbas. On the day of Ashura, it says that he sent his brothers before him. He said, I want to see you guys die, because that is the musibah that I want to tolerate and I want to have sabr towards. Why? Abu al-Fadl, why do you want to suffer? He says, look, that's what this dunya is all about. It's going to happen anyway. So why not make the most of it? One after another, his brothers go and become shaheed. And Banin is no longer Banin. And that's why sabr compared to our faith, Imam Ali says this, as-sabru min al-iman. If we don't have that sabr, brothers and sisters, whether we like it or not, it is going to be bitter. And I'm going to sound like I know what I'm talking about here. I figured it out. No, we're all in the same boat. But the Imam says the sabr compared to one's faith is like the head compared to the body. Once the head is gone, there's no life. You can lose an arm, you can lose a leg, you can lose this, you can lose that. But you can't, if you lose your head, you're done. And that's why when they execute people, they take their head in the old times. He says, look, if a person doesn't understand this sabr and doesn't have a sabr, guess what? The faith is gone. Because whether we like it or not, the hardship is going to happen in this life. Recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. There's a hadith I really like because it reminds me of anime. Now, in our day, it was Dragon Ball Z. But then I went to Qom, I came back and I found out all these other ones came after that. But I like this hadith because it reminds me of that, okay? Don't hate on me for making this comparison. You'll see what I mean. Because it says, in regards to this sabr, it says that Imam al-Sadiq, he said that إِذَا دَخَلَ الْمُؤْمِنْ فِي قَبْرِهِ. When the mu'min enters their grave, and their salat is on their right, the zakat is on their left, righteousness probably means righteousness to parents, but it says it in a general way. So righteousness is casting its shadow over this person. So you're surrounded by your deeds. By the way, guys, the only currency on the other side is deeds. Nothing else. Okay? The guy is 75 years old. He's still collecting Jordans. These Jordans are not going to help you on the other side. Collect them when you're 15. And if you're very rich, But if you're 85, 75, 65, that's not the time to collect things anymore. Now's the time to just make sure that everything's set and ready for the other side. Okay? That's the currency. All right. It says they're on the right, left, and all that, but there's one guy, his name is Sabr. It says, وَيَتَنَحَّى الصَّبْرِ. Sabr is standing in the corner. You know, in anime, like that really strong one is always in the corner watching. And you know he's going to do something special when the time comes. Right? Sabr is in the corner watching. Like in a Dragon Ball Z context, it'll be Vegeta's trying to beat up people, but he can't. And then Goku's standing on the side just watching. Let him do his thing. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's you again. Yeah. All right, so it says, فَإِذَا دَخَلَ الْمَلَكَانِ. When the two angels enter, اللَّذَانِ يَرِيَانِ مُسَاءَلَتَهُ. That ones who question in the grave, Sabr will tell salat and zakat and bir and all of that. He says, دُونَكُمْ صَاحِبَكُمْ. Hey, take care of your friend here, okay? I'm sitting on the side, I'm waiting. If, for whatever reason, you can't get the job done, hit me up. فَإِنْ عَجَزْتُمْ عَنْهُ فَأَنَا دُونَهُ. If you all can't take care of him and you're falling short, then let me know, I'll come in. I'll take care of things. All right, so we have the worships. Remember, we said this in day one. Things just come together, man. We said this on maybe the second lecture that we had when we were talking about the functionality of calamities, is that is one of the ways to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Worship and calamities. Then we talked about how there are two advantages worship has over calamity. Or excuse me, calamity has over worship. Those of you who were here and remember. Here it's showing itself. The salat that this person did might have been a deficient one, might not have what it takes to help this individual, but sabr, because it's in the face of the calamities that are not our doing anymore, they're Allah's doing, they have the potential to get the job done, as long as we are just patient in that moment. That is the beauty. That's why we're here. And then here I am saying, oh Allah, why did this hardship happen? I understand. And I'm not trying to downplay it, as I said before. Yes? But let us at least have this perspective. It helps. Right now, when we're not, inshallah, we're not suffering too much, in times of ease, let us remember, so that when the times of hardship come, we don't have time over there at that moment to figure things out. This has become a disposition within us that allows us to figure things out, at least not to give up. We will suffer. It will be bitter. But at least not to give up. Now, there are some that will be patient in the face of the hardships and calamities. And that's what we've been talking about all along. Hadiths tell us, though, there is a sabr higher than the sabr for calamities. And that is another sabr. We have a hadith, as-sabru sabran. There are two types of sabr. Sabrun inda al-musiba hasanun jamil. Do I need to translate that? Sabr, when there is a calamity, when there's a tragedy, when there's a musibah, is hasanun jamil. It's nice, it's beautiful. Wa ahsanu min dhalik. And better than that, and nicer than that, is what? As-sabru inda min dhalik, as-sabru inda ma harramallahu alayk. That a higher form of sabr is when there isn't even a calamity, but you still show sabr. When is that? When the haram things come. That's a higher sabr. Here it makes sense. When I have a calamity, all right, I have a hardship. All right, what are you going to do? This happened. What are you going to do? You're going to kill yourself now? You can't really do anything anyway. Might as well be patient, right? But when haram comes up for us, over there we do have other options. The fact that I have enough patience, and yes, it takes patience to be a pious, righteous individual. When I'm fasting, it takes patience. When I'm praying, it takes patience. When I'm taking care of my monetary dues, it takes patience. I heard a little story. It was funny. It said people were going to salat in a masjid, and like two guys were standing outside. It's adhan time. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala al-falah, hayya ala khair al-amal. rush to salat, rush to the best of deeds, etc. The guy tells his friend, if and like groups of people are going inside for salat, right? His friend turns around and tells him, yo, if this was saying hayya ala zakat, people wouldn't be going in. Because people don't want to pay anything. Salat's free, let's do it, fine. All right, we got to give some time, we got to do wudu, stuff like that. All right, some patience there, but like zakat, bro. Right? Or hayya ala al-khums. Like, no, man. Just keep it at hayya ala khair al-amal and all that kind of stuff. The best of deeds is salat because it's not monetary. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah, it takes patience, brothers and sisters, when it comes to the wajib and haram of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then there's a step even higher than that. And that is that although these takalif and wajib and harams that we have, they require patience. And we call them taklif. Taklif comes from kulfa. Kulfa means a burden. It means burden. Something that weighs down on us. When you put a responsibility on somebody's shoulders, yes, it is a burden. When Allah makes something wajib on us, it's a burden, whether we like it or not. That's the reality of it. But there are some, because they're looking at the ultimate outcome of it, for them, they say, it's not taklif for me. What is it then? It's tashrif for me. It's a way that Allah is honoring me. Okay? It gives me sharafa and karama. It's as if Allah is saying, now that you're baligh, now that I have these expectations of you, yeah, means you're good enough now to speak with me and to call unto me. And I count it as something that official now. It's an official conversation that we're having. Yeah, isn't that awesome? And so here we are, not very interested in the responsibilities Allah puts on our shoulders. But I'll just give an example that we can relate to. Think about it. Imam Hussein, I'm in a gathering that he's sitting in as well. Everyone's looking at Imam Hussein and in love with Imam Hussein. And he calls on me. He says, hey, so-and-so, can you do this for me? How honored am I going to be? Oh, but you have to go bring him a cup of water. That is a taklif. That's a burden. You're like, dude, be quiet, please. Before he changes his mind. This is my greatest honor. What if Imam Hussein tells me, every day I want you to bring me a glass of water? How honored? No. This is a taklif. Relax. Oh, you're trying to take this from me. You're jealous. That's what we're going to say. Well, these people with Allah, they do this. And they say, I don't know how true this is, but they say that Ibn Tawus was the first one who coined this whole thing of jashn taklif, that when you become mukallaf and when you come of age religiously and Islamically, that he would celebrate it for himself and his sons. He would celebrate it as a celebration. For us, it's like let's start a majlis for me. Now everything counts. Now I gotta be careful and all of that. But for him, it says that these people, they would have jashan for that. And nowadays, until today, this is what we do when our children become mukallaf, right? And they come of age. We actually celebrate it. Yeah. Also, like the Prophet would say, arihna ya Bilal. When the time for salat would come, the Prophet would say, arihna. Arihna comes from irtiyah. It comes from being comfortable. Relieve us, O Bilal. Or Sayyid Ali Qadi Tabatabai, he would say that, I don't know what kind of pleasure there is in the afterlife if we're not going to be praying anymore. Now that's him, man. That's not me. All right, I'm like Sayyid Ali Qazi. Talk for yourself. All right. But all in all, I'm just letting us know that this stuff happens as a result of having the right perspective, inshallah, continuing the path of Allah and patience. So that we reach a point that no, we're just like, wow, this is something that we are honored by. On the night of Ashura, we talked about this before. Imam said, I lift my bay'ah from all of you. You can go. In other words, this bay'ah, this burden of bay'ah, because if you have my bay'ah, you have to stay with me till the end. It's a burden. It's a taklif. These people begged that, no, we want to stay with you. Do they see it as taklif? No, they don't see it as taklif. All right. So all of this, brothers and sisters, to say that, number one, this life will be a life of hardship. Number two, there are expiration dates to this hardship. Number three, Allah sometimes intervenes, either directly, indirectly, at that moment, later, whatever it is. What we need to do is understand that this is what it was all about. If it wasn't for this, Allah wouldn't bring us here in the first place. We are here so that we get akhirah out of these same things. They will come our way. We don't need to do dua for it. This stuff will happen anyway. When it does come, let me just, before this, have fixed my perspective so that when it does come my way, I am ready for it. And without thinking, I know what I'm supposed to do, whatever that hardship is going to be. I don't know what's going to come, but I do know if anything does happen to come, right away I remind myself, all right, this is one of those cases. At least having the right perspective in a way can guarantee that we get it right practically and we do what we're supposed to do. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sometimes we forget that Lady Zainab, she had sons in Karbala. Because she is so immersed in the love of Imam Hussein, nothing compares to her love for Imam Hussein. You can gather the love of the whole world for Imam Hussein, it won't come close to the love of Bibi Zainab, of her brother. And so sometimes it might not be too hard to forget that, oh, Bibi Zainab also had others that she loved. She had sons that she loved. And these were the fruits of her life, the flowers of her garden. And so we might forget that, yes, 2 of her sons were also sacrificed in Karbala. And so it says here that they proposed to Bibi Zainab when she wanted to get married to Abdullah bin Ja'far. And she said, her father told her, this is a good individual, Abdullah's a good person, you should get married to him, say yes. She says, I have a condition, that I will never separate from my brother Hussein. You don't have this condition, I don't think, in any of the other wives of individuals or the Ahlul Bayt and all of that, but you have it here. And so some say that here Amir al-Mu'mineen smiled and he knows what's going through her heart. He knows that she knows that a day is going to come that she will have to be with Hussein. And so this love, brothers and sisters, makes us forget, maybe, that there was an On and there was a Muhammad. And so if she loves Hussein this much, how much do her kids love Uncle Hussein? To the point that when the time came, some say that they're begging their uncle, can we go now? Can we go now? Oh, you're not even baligh yet. Go where? And you're not my son Ali al-Akbar for me to send you off just like that. No. And your father's not here either. So no, I don't give you permission. And so they keep begging. He says no. And then Bibi Zainab goes to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. What did she say to him? What did she tell her kids to say to him? Some say that they came back with their mother to Imam Hussein and they just said, Bi Fatima, because of your mother, let us go. Some say Bibi Zainab taught them this line, if you tell him this, then he'll let you go. Tell him, and so they repeatedly, according to that account, are saying, by your mother Fatima, let us go. By your mother Fatima, let us go. By your mother Fatima, let us go. And so eventually he says, okay, you can go. And here you think about it, sometimes a mother is preparing her children to go to a gathering to have fun with their friends. Bibi Zainab now takes her children to the tent and is getting them ready for something as well. Tightens their belt. It says that the helmets were too big for their heads. And so she filled the helmets up with cloth so that these helmets don't fall off at least. And of course these helmets aren't going to help them anyway against those heavy swords of the enemy when they come down on their heads. And so as she's getting them ready, you guys go, but I'm not going to bid you farewell either. Because if I bid you farewell in front of your uncle Hussein, he might feel bad that his sister's kids have to go and defend him and lose their lives in front of him. So I'm going to go back in my tent. So these kids, think about it, brothers and sisters. No father is there. Their mother is in the tent. And so they go out. Bibi Zainab is saying, okay, if Ali al-Akbar went and he was cut to pieces, then what makes an exception for my kids? If he was thirstier than my kids, then why make an exception for my kids? You go, but I will not bid you farewell. I won't even watch you from inside my tent. They say Bibi Zainab went in the corner of the tent. She doesn't even know what's going on anymore. God knows what's happening in her heart. These children go, they fight. First Muhammad falls to the ground, covered in his blood and dies. Then On goes and he fights and he's also slaughtered. Now Abu Abdullah al-Hussein has to bring back these children. What is he thinking to himself? He's thinking maybe that, what am I going to tell Bibi Zainab? She trusted me with her children, and this is what I'm going to take back. That they were safe and sound when they left, but when I take them back, they're all covered in their blood. What do I say? They say Lady Zainab didn't even come out to receive her children. Later they asked, some accounts say that her husband asked her, why didn't you go out to take the kids from him? She said, I wouldn't want to put this feeling in the heart of Hussein, that Hussein feels that, oh, it's because of me that the children of my sister Zainab were killed. But they say this isn't the only time Abu Abdullah felt bad. They say there's a time that he comes for his own baby. Rubab, can I take this baby? And Harmala asks the question, should I shoot the father or should I shoot the son? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Al-Ali al-Azim wa saya'lamu alladhina zalamu أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. ماتم الحسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hey, Ano Muhammad, 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 hey, Ano Muhammad. شبیر کا تم صدقہ ہو اب خیمے میں بیٹا تم لوٹ کر نہ آنا اے آنو محمد اے آنو محمد اے آنو محمد اے آنو محمد ہے ماں کو یقین تم ماں کی بات رکھو گے یہ یاد رہے خیموں میں پیاسے بچے دریا پہ اگر جانا ہو سہروز کے پیاسوں تم پیاس نہ بجھانا اے آنو محمد 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 ہر حال میں تم پر لازم ہے شکر خدا کا اے شہزادوں ہے صبر تمہارا ورثہ فرزند ہو تم زینب کے شکوہ نہیں کرنا جب زخم کوئی کھانا اے آنو محمد اے آنو محمد اے آنو محمد آنو محمد اے آنو محمد اے آنو محمد اے آنو محمد اے آنو محمد جب سانس تمہاری
بچوں ہو کھڑنے والی اس وقت سرہانے آئے گی مادر میری دل کی یہ میرے خواہش ہے اس دم میری ماں سے زخموں کو تم چھپانا اے آن و محمد اے محمد اے آن و محمد اے آن و محمد اے آن و محمد محمد جب لاش اٹھا کر خیمے میں لائے سرور زینب یہ بولی اشکوں کو اپنے چھپا کر میں بھی نہ تمہیں روؤں گی اور میرے لیے بھی آنسو نہ تم بہانا اے آن و محمد 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 محمد تعظیم کی خاطر کیوں اٹھتے نہیں اب بیٹا دیکھو تو سرہانے آئے ہیں میرے بھیا جاگو میرے شہزادوں کیا بھول گئے ہو قدموں پہ سر جھکانا اے آن و محمد اے آن و محمد اے آن و محمد اے آن و محمد شاباش میرے بچوں ہوں میں تم سے راضی یہ کہہ کے تکلم خاموش ہوئی شہزادی نیزوں پہ سفر کر کے ہمراہ ہمارے تم کو ہے شام جانا اے آن و محمد اے آن و محمد اے آن و محمد اے آن و محمد
حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین حسین یا حسین یا حسین تھے ثانی زہرا کے پسر آن و محمد 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 تھے نور قمر نور سحر آن و محمد تھے ثانی زہرا کے پسر آن و محمد تھے ثانی زہرا کے پسر آن و محمد دونوں میں نظر آتے تھے عباس کے تیور ہوتے تھے فدا دونوں پہ یوسف کے پیمبر ہم شیر کے تھے جان و جگر آن و محمد تھے ثانی زہرا کے پسر آن و محمد تھے ثانی زہرا کے پسر آن و محمد تھے ثانی زہرا کے پسر آن و محمد زینب نے انہیں کرب و بلا کے لیے پالا جس وقت ہنر گے میں گرے سید والا اس وقت گرے خون میں تے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ماں کہتی تھی تم تو ہو میرے بھائی کا صدقہ بھائی کے پسینے پہ لہو اپنا بہانا دیکھو میرا جھک جائے نہ سے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد رکھنا ہے تمہیں لاج سنو اپنے پدر کی شابیر سے بڑھ کے تمہیں پروانہ ہو سر کی وہ عیش ہے تم خاک بسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد گاڑتے وہ کہاں تک بھلا کوں سے اکیلے کم سے بیتے اور 3 شب روز کے پیاسے مقتل میں گرے تشنا جگے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد لاش آئی تو زینب نے کیا شکر کا سجدہ لب چومے کبھی صاف کیا دونوں کا ماتھا بولی میرا ٹھنڈا ہے جگر اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد مجلس میں پڑھا جائے گا رے یہ نوحہ رونے کے لیے آئے گی تب ثانی زہرا ڈھونڈے گی تمہیں ماں کی نظر اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد ثانی زہرا کے پسے اونو محمد اللہم صلی علی محمد
ان اللہ وملائکتہ یصلون علی النبی یا ایھا الذین آمنوا صلوا علیہ وسلموا تسلیما. اللہ أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن علي